So welcome everybody. We'll continue with the discussion of virtual machine architecture. Last time we had seen various types of class loaders which are there, and only the last part of the class loader that was remaining. So let me quickly finish the last part of class loaders before the whatever responsibility the class loader has to take before we go ahead with runtime data areas. So what are the various runtime memory areas, where what gets loaded, who is responsible for what kind of operation? That is what we plan to discuss today. But there are some part of class loader which was yet to be discussed, the responsibilities of the class loader. Let me quickly discuss that and then start off with runtime data areas. Today's topic for discussion is runtime data areas. But before I go with runtime data areas, let me finish with some part of class loader which is yet to be discussed. So this is something that we have to discuss, the responsibilities of the class loader system. So what are the responsibilities? It locates and imports binary data for a class. Now, what do you mean by binary? Binary data is the format of data that the machine will understand. So for us, the binary data over here is the bytecodes. So that has to be located and that has to be imported. Now, what do you mean by located? Now, if I take extension class loader, it will always look out for the classes only at one location. And that is into your RT jar, there will be a lib folder. Inside lib, you may have an extension, ext folder. It will look at for that files only at that particular location. So there are specific locations where that particular class file will be looked out for. So it will locate and import. So it will first find out at the specific location and then it will import that thing. So there has to be a precise location where that particular set of classes will be loaded. When you create your application, you may have kept your application class files at some different place that the user defined class loader needs to know about. So path is something that you have to give. Unless you do not give the path, or if it is not present in the current directory, it will not be in a position to load. So user defined class loader will look out for the classes at two locations: in the current directory from wherever you are launching your application, and the directory that you have specified, where do I normally keep my application. So it will be looking out for those class files at two locations. Likewise, every loader will look out for the class files at some specified location. It is not like it will look out at all the places. Applet class loader will have to give the URL from the network from where it has to download. So there will be a specific location where to look out for that particular class. It must also verify the correctness of the imported class. Remember, we are talking class file structure, whether the class file format is correct or not. So it will not just import that class and load as it is. It will also verify the structure of the class file is correct or not. If it is the structure of the class file is correct, only then it will actually go ahead proceed with loading that particular class in the memory. It allocates and initializes memory for the class variables, assists in resolution of symbolic references and so on. Rather, it creates those symbolic references. Okay, it will allocate memory for class variables. Now, what is class variables? Normally, only when the program starts running, when we enter inside function main, when the program starts running, that is the time when we talk about creating variables. But that's not the case. There are some variables which get stored in the memory even before your program starts executing. That means when the class gets loaded, there is some data that can get stored in the memory. We call it as a class data. Those who have done C++, you can recollect there is something called as static variables. The static variables are created even before you start doing anything. The moment the class gets loaded, the variables will get created. They will not depend upon, they will not wait for you to create an object of the class. Even before you create an object of the class, that variable will get created. Now, if there are any such variables to be created, they will also be created and stored into appropriate memory area. They will also be initialized. Now, who will take that when that initialization will happen, we'll discuss right now. But then the class loader's responsibility is not just to load the class. It is responsibility is also to load and initialize the variables that the class requires. So there is something called as class data. So if there is some class data that also needs to be loaded, that also needs to be initialized, memory also needs to be allocated. Those operations are also performed by the class loader itself. It will not wait for your application to create an object. It will load them beforehand. And the operation will be performed in a strict order. What is that? First is loading, second is linking, and third is initializing. So let's understand what is this loading, linking, and initializing. Now, when we talk about loading, first is finding. So it has to search at normally application class loader will search at two places, current location and the path that you have set. Extension class loader will look at only into one location, that ext folder. It will not look out for the class at any other location. So it has to find that particular class and then import the binary data. That means the byte codes of that particular class that is to be loaded. So when I talk about a byte code, binary data, so when you compile a class, we said in a Java file, you can write 4 classes, but when you compile, you're going to get 4 class files. That means in one class file, you cannot have information of more than one type. What am I saying? In one class file, you cannot have information of more than one type. One class file, dot class file, will store information of at the most only one type, at the most only one type. So when I'm saying at the most only one type, so that byte data, binary data has to be parsed, read, the type information has to be extracted, data type name, classes are nothing but user defined data type. So that data type information has to be extracted and that type information has to be loaded in the memory. That's the responsibility that this class loader will take. Second, linking. Perform verification, preparation, and optionally resolution. Now, verification. So it checks whether the type data that we are trying to load, whether it is correct, whether the binary data instructions which are there, whether they are proper, are they trying to perform any malicious operation? Remember that operations are, is there any operand overflow? Is there any statement that behaves like pointer? All those byte code verification will be done. So during the linking phase, this verification will happen. Then preparation. Allocating memory for the class variable, initializing the memory to the default value. Say inside your class, if you have declared one integer variable, which is of type static, you may have declared a date variable, date type of variable. You may have declared some other type of variable. So first memory has to be allocated for the variable, then the default value for the type. So every date type will have a default value. In Java, there is no concept of garbage. Integer, if you create, it will be set to value as 0. If I create a Boolean value variable, it will be set to value as false. So there will always be default value for every variable. So those variables are to be allocated memory somewhere where I'll not tell you right now. When I discuss runtime memory areas, I'll tell where the memory is allocated. That also I'll let you know. So the memory will be allocated. It will also be initialized to the default value. So this memory is allocated even before first instructions in your function main is running. That means this is happening when the class is being loaded. Moment the class is loaded, there are some operation that needs to be done. Or even if you're running function main, somewhere you refer to the class. Even before you avail any service of the class, even before you create an object of the class, even before you call some method of the class, first class has to be loaded. If the class is not loaded, how can you create an object of the class? How can you call the function of the class? So when the class is being loaded, at that time itself, memory has to be allocated for the class variables. They also have to be initialized. But initialization over here is complex. For initializing these class variables, you may also be required to call some functions. So those function calls also have to be done. All that preparation work is done by the class loader during the linking phase. And third is resolution. Now, class was loaded, verification was done. Preparation means variables were created, default value memory was allocated, default value was set, everything was done. Now transforming symbolic references from the type to the direct references. Because initially while loading the class, in the first phase itself, we had created a symbolic reference. But when it was about to time to execute the code, at that time resolution has to be done, because symbolic references give you address which is relative. Now that relative address has to be converted to absolute address so that that element can be identified or located in the memory. So the resolution of symbolic references, whether this variable is there, element is there, whether and what is the location in the memory where that function or a variable has been stored, that resolution is done by the class loader itself. And initializer. Invoke Java code that initialize class variable to their proper starting value. So in preparation, we set to the default value. So if there is an integer, it will be set to the default value 0. And if I had said integer is equal to some function foo I have called, so that foo calling will happen during initialization. So these are the responsibilities that the class loader will have to take. So if you remember the diagram that we had taken, long time back we had taken one diagram, and that diagram talked about all these particular scenarios. The diagram talked with all these scenarios. So here, if you look at this diagram was telling us about, just give me a minute, here we go. Verify, prepare, and resolve. So we did the verification, during the linking phase, first loading, linking, and then initializing. In loading, Bootstrap class loader, extension class loader, application class loader, they will take care of loading all the necessary classes. During linking, we'll verify, we'll prepare, we'll resolve, and then execute. Then we'll go to initialization. initialization will call functions so that the static variables will also be initialized and so on. So these are the operations that we need to do while we go ahead, while the class loader goes ahead completing its task. Yes, Asif, go ahead.
No, sir, actually my question was whether prepare or resolve, which one comes first. I think it's answered also.
Okay. Any other question, anybody? So here we are talking about loading, linking, and initialization. So 3 operations we have done. Okay.
So,
Any questions?
But still, sir, I think preparation will come after resolution. I think so, maybe.
Achha, within the linking, you are talking about the sequence. What I have written is correct or not?
Yes, just my doubts are whether preparation should come after resolution.
No. I'll tell you why is it not so. Remember the case. Symbol tables are created while loading itself initially. I'm not talking about resolution creation of symbol tables. Symbol table has already been created. Correct?
Yes. Sir.
Now, after every operation was done, when it was just about the time to execute the code, because verification has happened, preparation has happened. When it was just about to execute that code, it had to get the absolute address and also check whether that particular reference is available or not, so that that execution can happen. So I need the direct reference only when the code was about to be executed.
But sir, the memory allocation are done based on the absolute addresses. Maybe I think.
Memory allocation is done
based on the absolute addresses, no, sir?
Yes. So first you should allocate memory and get the absolute address, or first you will get the absolute address and then allocate memory.
So according to me, second, sir.
No, second. It will first create that variable, because what we have in a symbol table is only a relative address, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then wherever the memory has been allocated, now that relative address will be transferred to the absolute address where actually the memory has been allocated.
Okay.
Has been allocated.
Okay, sir. Okay.
It is not the place where it is to be allocated. It has been allocated.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Anybody? Any question? So that is all about class loaders. If still there are any questions regarding class loaders, do let me know before we go ahead with the second part of our discussion. That's the runtime memory areas.
Sir, is there any fixed location where the class variable, like in preparedness, we were allocating memory for class variables?
Correct.
So at what address will it load?
That's what I'm going to tell you now.
Okay, sir.
Where it will load, which area it will load. I do not know the address. I cannot never predict the address where it is getting loaded. We cannot seek for its address in our program.
Yes,
so I cannot show you the address. The class loader will know where it has been loaded. So according to the absolute relative references will be updated to absolute references.
Yes, sir.
Wherever it has been stored. I can only tell you in which memory area it has been stored.
Yes, sir. Sir, and in initialization, we were initializing class variables with their proper starting values. So in initialization, sir, we were initializing the class variables with their proper starting value. So
correct.
Class variable has which proper starting values, like what?
I'll just give a demonstration syntax wise. So just forgive me because I'm showing you Java code, but that will make it easy for us to understand.
Yes.
I'll just show you one piece of code. So is the screen visible?
Yes, sir.
So suppose if I had some class variable, we call them as static variables. Suppose if I had static int I is equal to, there is some method that I had to call. Suppose static
So I got it now. I understood.
क्या समझ में आया?
सर ये जो क्लास वेरिएबल्स रहेंगे, जो अभी जो क्लास के अंदर जो उसको डिफॉल्ट वैल्यू देंगे वो अभी इधर इनिशियलाइज करेंगे,
चेंज किया जाएगा. I'll just show you. Say there is a statement something like this I have written in my program. So this is a class variable. This is a class variable. This is a class variable. This variable will be loaded in the memory. Moment this class gets loaded in the memory, this variable will get loaded in the memory. But this will not be set to this value. I'm calling a function to get that work done. This will not happen initially. Initially, this class variable will be set to value as 0.00. And this 0.00 setting will be done over here when we are talking about this part. कहाँ गया? Allocating memory for the class variables and initializing the memory to the default value. Is this PowerPoint presentation visible?
No, sir.
No? Is it visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So here I'm saying allocating memory for the class variable, initializing them to the default value. So if I have created a class variable over here, this variable was to be assigned this particular value, but that will not happen. Initially, during this stage of preparation, this variable will be initialized to value 0.0f. That's the value with which it will get initialized by default in the memory. And then during initialization, it will invoke the code. So after the linking, everything has been happened, address has already been established. And before that variable was about to be used, it will now be initialized. Now to initialize, it will call this particular method. It will now call this particular method. What is the return value of this particular method? That will now get stored inside this particular variable. Is that clear now?
Yes, sir.
So first this variable has been created. When this class got loaded, this variable has been created and it was not initialized with this value. Initial value that was stored in this variable is 0.0 during preparation. And during initialization, this function was called. So this was called later. After that means this variable state changed. First it got value 0.0 and then it has got this particular value. And the reason for that I'll tell you. Even if I don't write this, in Java there is no garbage. This variable is bound to have value as 0. This variable is bound to have value as 0. And where does this value 0 come from? This value 0 came at this stage, during the preparation stage itself. Moment the memory is allocated, you may have initialized that variable, you may not have initialized that variable. Java says that's secondary. I will set that particular variable to value as 0. Is that okay with everybody? Any
Yes,
questions, anybody, about this initialization or preparation? What your steps are there? Any questions? If you understood, click on yes. If there are any queries, I have already shared the book with you, told the book, go and cross check the details in that book. आसिफ कोई डाउट है?
No, sir.
रामेश्वरी?
No, sir.
Okay. So now let's go ahead with the second part of our discussion. And the second part of our discussion focuses around the runtime data areas. If you remember the diagram, there are 5 memory areas which are there. So now we need to understand what are the runtime data areas and what is their role. So while the program is running, it requires memory. Memory for storing number of things. Memory for storing classes, memory for storing variables. There are different types of variables. Right now we took an example of a class variable. But that class variable is not the only kind of variable which is there. There are different kind of variables which are there. And all of them needs to be stored. Now, if you have to store those variables in the memory, now where are they going to be stored? So we need to know about the location where these variables can be stored. So there are different memory areas which are dedicatedly made available for different purposes. So we need to store bytecodes. We need to store information. It extracts from the loaded class file. That's the type data. The objects the program initializes, the static variables, any variable that we may have. Parameters to a method. When you call a function, there are some parameters that we are passing. For that, memory is required. When the function returns some value, for that memory is required. Within the function, there are some variables. They are called as local variables. For that, memory is required. And while you perform an operation, say you write an expression something like this. Suppose you write an expression something like this. And now see what happens. We talk about intermediate results of the computation. Now, if I write a simple expression, that's very easy to understand. But sometimes expressions are slightly different. So let me just take an example for you. Suppose if I return an expression something like this, why is my ID not starting? Just give me a minute. Here we go. Suppose is my pen visible? Is this purple color visible?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I write a statement saying a equal to 10. Now there is no question problem here. Or if I say a is equal to 10 plus 5, no issues. 10 plus 5 is 15, that result will get stored into a. Had I said a is equal to b plus c, then also there is no issue. Result of this expression will directly get assigned to variable c. But suppose if I write a statement something like this, if I write say b plus c into c plus d. Now tell me, how will this expression get solved?
Sir, first brackets.
First bracket will get solved. So
Yes.
this bracket will get solved
Yes.
first. Then it will solve the second bracket.
Second bracket. And then
Array,
multiplication.
listen now. You solve the first bracket. Where is the answer? Have you assigned and stored into some variable? Had I written a statement something like this, it was very easy. If I had said something like this, had I said a is equal to b plus c, okay, or x is equal to b plus c, this was very easy. X equal to b plus c, y is equal to c plus d, correct, and a is equal to x into y, correct. That's the same operation that I had done. Na? Now this, when I break it into three parts, is easy to understand. But if I write a statement saying a is equal to b plus c into c plus d, now tell me, is the result going to be different? Any different? Rameshwari, is the result will be different over here?
No, no, sir.
No. So in this case, it was very easy. We performed this operation, result got stored into x. Then I said, I performed this operation, result got stored into y. And then x into y we multiplied and result got stored into a. But when I write this at one go, now tell me what will happen. When I say b plus c, and then I'm saying c plus d, and then I'm multiplying the result. But when I move from c plus d to b plus c to c plus d, what happened to the result of the previous part? Where was it stored? Okay, and that is nothing but intermediate results of the calculation. Now these intermediate results of the calculation should not have got lost. Those also needs to be stored. So while you are solving such an expression, whatever were the intermediate results of the calculation, they needs to be stored. So when I'm writing such an expression, what results we got over here, when I wrote this part of the statement, this got solved, somewhere the data was stored. This got solved, somewhere the data was stored. And then those results were multiplied with each other to get the final answer that got assigned to A. So we require memory for a lot of different purposes. It's not just for creating variables. Now here there was no variable that I had created. There was this b plus c already were there, but b plus c and c plus d, their results also needed to be stored somewhere. So we require memory for various things. Now we need to understand, where is this memory available? For what purpose, which memory areas are used? Is that what we plan to discuss next. So while the Java program is running, we require memory for different purpose. Which memory areas are made available for what purpose is what we plan to see. Yes, Jay, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Can the processor carry out parallel computation?
Yes.
Instead of expressions?
Yes.
In that case, will it be able to, remove the intermediate storage of the variables?
No. Because if it has to carry out parallel operation, then the order cannot be determinate. When I write such simple expression, then the parallel operation will not happen. If I want to carry out parallel operation, I have to dedicate it to a different thread, and that can carry out that operation. Because when the operation gets carried out parallelly, order is very difficult to control. Who will get the answer first, we never know.
Yes.
Correct? So in such expressions, it will not be carrying out operation parallelly.
Okay, right.
Okay, it will not carry out parallelly. And I'm going to teach you parallel programming, how to do in Java, concurrent and parallel programming.
Sir, all these data areas are allocated in preparation section, sir.
Pardon?
All these data types are allocated memory in the preparation section before running the application.
No. All this means bytecodes, everything?
Like local variables, return value.
No, not all of them. Not all of them. See what is going to happen over here. Local variables will have a very limited life, and the life is only when the function is called.
Okay, sir.
And you may call functions at different times. I'll explain you that. And do let me know in the discussion if that answer is, if you don't get that answer, do let me know. I'll clarify it once again. Okay. If you are having an impression that the memory is allocated during the preparation time by the class loader, that's not happening initially. Okay. The class loader will come with relative addresses. Acha, preparation time. Second part you are saying.
Yes, sir. Yes.
After verification.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, after verification, the verification was done and it was about to execute. Okay, that's the time it will actually get the absolute addresses where the memory has been allocated. Very true. Not the initial one, because symbolic table had the references which were relative, but the relative references were changed to absolute, because absolute address we can only get after the memory has been allocated.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and that was just before the code was about to be executed.
Okay, so runtime, it's not happening. It's happening before that, sir.
Just when it was about to execute the statement.
Okay, sir.
Not when the class is being loaded. Listen, not when the class is being loaded. When the class is loaded, we had relative addresses. When the code was after verification, when the code was about to be executed, it will now, the loader itself will ensure we get the absolute address. Symbolic references will be updated with the absolute addresses.
So that time only it will allocate those memories.
Ulta, it will allocate memory and then update the addresses.
Yes.
Okay. How does it happen? We will be having in today's discussion. Okay. Let's go ahead. So there are various memory areas which are available, and these are required. Java JVM requires various runtime memory areas. Each of them have a specific role to play. Okay. Different implementation of virtual machine can have different memory constraints. That means how much is the minimum memory, how much is the maximum memory. That can change because the specification doesn't talk about the amount of memory that has to be given for memory areas. It doesn't even force us to have all those memory areas. Okay, some of the memory areas can be eliminated at times. Okay, so it is not giving us very strict guidelines as to how much is the memory, how much is the total memory, how much is the memory for each of that memory area. There are no such guidelines. But then if you look at the implementation, they always give you opportunity to specify the memory areas either by default or less or more depending on the requirement when you're launching your application. So depending on how the virtual machine has been implemented, you'll have various constraints. Constraints normally are in terms of how much memory is available for each of that section. Some implementation may have a lot of memory to work and some may have very little. Depends upon whether the JVM is a general purpose JVM or running on a constrained device or running on a server. Depending on that, memory implementation will be different, that amount of memory that will have. Some implementation may take advantage of virtual memory, others may not. Now that is for the person who has implemented the JVM, who has written the code for JVM. It is for him to decide from where to spool, from where to get those memory areas. The abstract nature of virtual specification of the runtime data areas helps it easier to implement the machine on variety of devices. So there are no strict guidelines. This is from where you will take the memory and this is the amount of memory that you will have. Since there are no strict guidelines, now you can customize your JVM to work on different machines, because different machines, there are different support which is available. If there is some cache which is available on some machine, you want to make utilization of that particular feature, you can do that. So it is not there is no solid or very clear definition as to where that memory has to be taken from, how much is the memory, and what way you're going to utilize that memory. Purpose, we know. For what purpose, which area has to be used, that we know. But where is that memory to be allocated? How is that memory to be utilized? About that, there are no guidelines. So depending on the kind of machine that you're working on, you can create a JVM best suited for that machine architecture. You can create a JVM. Runtime areas, which most of the JVM support, they are method area, heap, Java stack, PC registers, native method stack. These are 5 areas that you'll normally see on almost all JVMs. So let me quickly tell you about each of this area. Method area is the area. Okay, every JVM will have this method area. Reason for that is it stores your class data. Not just the class data that is static variable, your class, that means every new data type that you have, let it be system data type, system APIs or R APIs, because every API is a class. Every class describes one type. So the type information, the byte codes are stored where? Byte codes are stored in this method area. These areas are shared by all the threads running inside the virtual machine. So all the processes or sub processes which are part of my running application, they have an access to this method area. They can all check which are the classes currently loaded in the method area. So they can have an access to that particular class. When virtual machine loads a class file, it parses information of the type from the binary data contained in the class file. So you had written a Java file, you compiled the Java file to create a .class file. That .class file was having the type information. That means whatever is the type, system class, your class, student class, teacher class, it was having the description of that type. So that type data, that means the type information has to be loaded, which will give us information about what is the design of this data type. So this type information, which describes the new data type that you have created or the existing data type which is there in Java, all the data types, either you have created or Java has supplied, all the classes that we have, their type information will be extracted and loaded in this method area. And this area is available for all the threads which are running inside a Java application. So this is a shared memory area. So even if you create two different threads, Jay was talking about parallel processing. There are two different threads and two different threads are using two different classes. But both these classes will get stored in the same memory area. So a thread or a sub process may have its own memory for carrying out some other operation, but the type information is going to extract from the same memory. So all data types will get loaded over here. All type information will get loaded here. All type data will also get loaded. The static data that we have been talking about, that will also get loaded in the method area. It places this type information into the method area. So any type, so in this method area, we always have class data. Class data means static variables. Also the type information. So data types are stored over here. The static variables which belong to the data type are also stored in this method area. Inside the Java virtual machine instance, information about the loaded type is stored in the logical memory area called as method area. So whatever is the new data type, either it has been supplied by Java or you have created the data type, the type information will get stored in this method area. Virtual machine extracts this information of the type from the binary data and stores this. That means when you are trying to load the class, while it is loading, it is reading that particular byte data class file, and that byte data that is loaded will now get stored inside this method area. So the byte data, the class, the methods inside the class, the code is actually stored in this method area. Memory for the static, that the class variables are also taken from the memory is also allocated in the method area itself. Manner in which Java virtual machine implementation represent type information is internal decision. That means now if you ask me, sir, how is the type data stored? That JVM designer can decide. But the type data will definitely be stored in the method area. How it is stored? Specification doesn't say anything. It says it has to be loaded in this area. Now it is for you as a person who is implementing JVM to decide how to store this type information into this particular method area. The size of the method area need not be fixed. So this gives you a flexibility. Suppose in some application you have too many classes, too many type information. So you like to allocate more memory. So when you're launching your Java application, you have a chance to specify how much is the method area that you like to have. So that customization we can do. As the Java application runs, virtual machine can expand or contract method area to fit the application needs. So depending on the requirement, that memory can increase, that can also decrease. But for that, we have to specify three things while you're launching an application. Minimum area, what is the default memory that will require, and what is the max memory that will require. So that we have to already specify. So keeping those things in mind, it will either expand area or contract that area depending on what parameters you may have supplied while you're launching your application. Also, memory for the method area needs to be contiguous. So it is not like one block here and one block there. It has to be contiguous. So it can grow, it can shrink. Implementation may allow users or the programmer to specify initial size of the method area as well as maximum and minimum size. I said three parameters: initial size, maximum size, and minimum size. Keeping these three parameters in mind, it can grow or it can shrink, but that growing and shrinking has to be in contiguous memory locations. Method area need not be garbage collected. Specification does not demand that the method area has to be garbage collected, but almost every JVM that is currently present in the market provides you garbage collected method area. So if the class is not being used for a very long time, that means there are no references of the classes in your application that can be removed from memory. That can happen. That normally happens in every JVM. That is not mandated by the definition. For each type it loads, JVM must store the following kind of information in the method area. What? Fully qualified name. Last time you saw my class name. The class name was class loader or something. You saw another class that I had talked about, system. So the class name was system. That's not the actual name of the class. The name of the class is way beyond it. And what is a fully qualified name, that is what we need to have. I'll just show you an example, or let me just go through these points and then I'll talk about that fully qualified name. Or let me take an example that will tell you what do I mean by fully qualified name. Is this, for example, PowerPoint visible?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is the command prompt visible?
Oh, yes,
Yes
yes,
or no?
yes.
Yes. Okay. So let me directly jump over here. So let me tell you what do I mean by fully qualified name. Huh? So if I go to some Java application that I have, here I go, and let's see one Java file dir_star.java. There is one Java file that we have. Suppose the file is wordcount.java. There's a file called as wordcount.java. Or let us take a simpler one. We had a textbook.java. That's one class. That means we may also have a class called as book.java. Whatever it may be, guys. Or let's take this, which one? Simple.java. Let's see what's there in simple.java. Type simple.java. Okay. Now tell me, what's the class name over here? You can see. What is the name of the class that you can see?
Simple.
Simple. Now if I compile this particular code, Java C, simple.java, and if I use the Java P, because disassembler, we need to know what's the actual name of that class. And if I now look at this class called as simple dot class, if I use Java P and disassemble, it will tell you no, simple is not the name. Name is pack.app.simple. That's the fully qualified name. Although what appeared to you, the class name is simple, it says no, class name is not simple, class name is so and so. Okay, so it has actually changed, means it is giving you the fully qualified name of that particular class. Within the class, you may have written some kind of statement. Suppose अगर आपने लिखा है कुछ यहाँ notepad simple.java. Okay, if I had referred to some class and I had created an object of some class, suppose if I had created an object of some class over here, say here I had created some public object. Suppose if I had said public and string name is equal to, watch it, public string name is equal to, I give my name or I say somebody else's name. We have Neha. That's it. So what's the class name for this object now? What's the class name for this object? Type name. What type of data is this? String type of data it is. So if I save this and if I compile this code once again, if I compile this particular code once again, for us it was string. Let's see what does Java P say. It says no. Variable name is not of type string. It's of type java.lang.string. So that's fully qualified name. So the fully qualified names, which will help us to locate where the class is coming from. So although in the program we had said simple, in the program I have said simple. If you look at the code, I had only said string. I had only said string, but the fully qualified name of that particular class is different. Like our class name was also different. Likewise, string class, that means Java API class names are also different. Fully qualified names are different. So for each type it loads. So string was one type. Then our class simple was one type. It needs to store the fully qualified name, not just the name, the fully qualified name. Fully qualified by the names of the direct superclass. Oh, I did not tell you that. That means every class has a super type. So it will also tell you who is the super class of that particular class. So it needs to know the entire hierarchy. It needs to know the entire hierarchy, great grandfather tak, till the top in the hierarchy, whether or not this type is a class or an interface. Because when you talk about in Java, there are different types. Classes are also types, interfaces are also types. So whether this type is a class or whether this type is an interface, both of them are data types. But what type, whether it's a class type or whether it's an interface type, that also needs to be stored. What are the modifiers? Now, if you looked at the modifier in the example, these were the modifiers. I had used over here public, here I had said public, here I had said public static. So if there are types, the types may also have modifiers. So what are the modifiers for those type? That also needs to be stored. So there's a lot of information that will actually get stored about that data type. The ordered list of fully qualified names of any direct super interfaces. Now this is a bit complex. A class can have several super types. So which are the super types? The correct order of all the super types will also be listed. So that means it has to have, put in simple words, it has to have complete information about your type. So if I say my type is string, let me show you about the string class. What was first, in our program we wrote only string, but what did it have? It had the complete fully qualified name. Is the screen visible?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
We had the fully qualified name, but let me show you something more about it. Now if I go ahead with this string class,
Sir, I have a question.
yes please go ahead.
Is Java.lang a pre-imported class?
Class name package hai.
Package, sorry.
Yeah. So we'll come to it as we go ahead. Now let me talk about this string class. We had made a reference to this class called as string over here. Now while we had made a reference to this particular class called as string, let us see who its forefathers are. Okay, and what are things it actually implements. So all the information will need to be stored about every type that is there. So let me just open up the doc for you. And if I open up the doc, I can show you certain things about that type. For some reason, ये क्या हो रहा है? So Java doc. Source. It has opened. Okay. Now look at this. The class name is string, but it implements some interfaces, serializable, comparable, char name, and so on. Okay. And its super type is object. Okay. That means when the class is being loaded, string class is being loaded, it will have to know names of all its forefathers, even the object class. Now let me show you the forefathers of that string class. So I'll just say string in Java. So let's look at the Java doc. Here you go. We'll open up the doc. Now, when you open up the doc, it says, is the browser visible, everybody?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It says the fully qualified name is this, its father's name is this, and these are other things which are also its super type. So when this class string will get loaded, it will have to have the name of its previous classes. It will have to have names of the interfaces that it implements, and in what order? The order in which it has been implemented. That means this is the first one, this is the second one, this is the third one. So it also knows the order in which it has been implemented and all the types. Who are its super type? उसका super type कौन है? ये child है. इसका super type कौन है? ये क्या-क्या behavior आपको दे सकता है? Everything it has to know. You'll read this. This makes it actually very clear. So I'm saying this is my class. This class, this is a super type, and that's a class. And these are super types which are interface. Both of them are types. These are also types. These are also types. But this super type is a class, and this super type is an interface. So when the string class will get loaded, it has to know everything. कौन सा उसका super type class है, कौन से उसके super type interfaces है, all that information needs to be loaded. And where is that information loaded? All that information stored inside the method area. To put in simple words, whichever class gets loaded, it has to have complete information about that class. Just put in simple words, whatever type gets loaded, it has to have complete information of the type. What its modifiers are, whether it's private, whether it's public, whether it's static, what it is, it should know about it. Who its super types are, whether it's a class or whether itself is an interface, and fully qualified names of any of the direct super type. That means object class ka bhi fully qualified name, java.lang.object and so on. In addition to the basic information listed earlier, virtual machine also store for some additional information. And what is that additional information stores? Constant pool type. I'll explain this what it means. Field information, method information, all static variables, reference to the class loader, and reference to the class. Now, this is very important. Pay attention. One thing at a time. Constant pool for the type. That means in my program, now this is a bit trickier. understand this is very important, because only this will help you to understand lot many concepts in Java. The first point, constant pool type for the type. Now, let's go back to our example. Watch this. Here we go. In this particular example, I have written one statement. Can somebody read out this statement for me if it is visible?
Public string name is equal to Neha.
Public string name is equal to Neha, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So which is the variable?
Name.
Name is the variable.
Yes, sir.
It belongs to this particular class called as
Simple.
simple. It's a field of this particular variable. Inside this class, there is one method called as main. I could have some other methods as well. So here I'm talking about field information. So field information is this information about this particular field. So this particular type has this field. So it will store information of the field. What's the name of the field? What's the type of the field? What's the initial value? But before that, method information. So it will talk about this method. In this class, there is this method called as main, which takes in this parameter. Its return type is this, its modifier is this. That information can store. All static variables except constant. So this is a static variable? No. Had I said static string name in one of the examples we had seen last time. So had I said static string name, that also needs to be there. Okay. References to the class loader and the reference to the class. Now let me, the three things I have to explain now. This one and the last two. Listen to me very carefully. How will I do that? I'll draw a diagram. Sorry. That will help us to understand. If this is my method area, if this is my method area and some class is being loaded, say now string class has now been loaded. Look at this. If the string class is now being loaded, so it will first store the name of the class, that to fully qualified name. It was java.lang.string. Its parent, that was java.lang.object. Okay. And then other interfaces that were there, java.lang.serializable. Then that was comparable. Then there was serializable, comparable, and what was the last one? Anybody remembers? Char sequence. So it was one was serializable, other was comparable, next was char sequence. So everything that is there will actually get stored. So here the next one was char sequence. Completely qualified. Huh? So char sequence, whatever is the name, complete name has been stored. Then within this particular class string, there are a lot of fields. So there are a lot of methods. Okay, there are a lot of constant variables. Their information also has to be stored. So we'll also store the field information. We had a field called as name. We had a method called as main. That information also has to be stored. If there are some static variables, that information also be stored. If there is a class data, if there is some static variable, that information also has to be stored. So all this information is getting stored in the method area itself. Listen, but if you look at that particular variable called as name, I had initialized that name with a value called as Neha. Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So within this method area, this was entire thing was method area for us. This entire thing was method area for us. Within this method area, there is one more sub area. Within this method area, there is one more sub area. And this sub area is what we call as a constant pool. Is something called as constant pool. In this constant pool, whatever constant that we had created, like name equal to Neha, so that Neha will get stored over here. Watch it. Neha will also get stored over here. Neha is also stored in the method area, constant pool. So whatever are the constants, those values will also get stored. Plus, now this was a string class. Somebody must have loaded this string class. So if somebody has loaded the string class, who will possibly load the string class? Come on, tell me quickly, who will possibly load the string class?
Class loader.
Some class loader will load the string class. So whichever class loader has loaded the string class, that class loader object will also be allocated memory, or will also be specified over there. That name will also be there. Who is the class loader not the class object, the name of the class loader. So I should rather say name of the class loader. It's not the class loader object doesn't come over here. The name of the class loader who has loaded this particular class will also come over here. So I'll have the name of the class loader. Who is the class which loaded this particular string class? So I'll have the name of class loader. That is also there. Where is the class loader object? That's stored somewhere else. But who is my class loader? Which is the class loader? Because every class loader will have some name. So who is the class loader which has loaded the string class? That will come. Listen to me. And one more important thing. I'll also have one more object over here. One more name over here. And that will be name of, okay, class object. Now this is a bit confusing. Just try and understand. When the class gets loaded, in the method area, what we are having right now, other than this data, what is that we are having? Other than this constant pool data, what is that we are having in the method area?
Field information, the method information.
Okay, now listen.
The
We had the type information.
Variables related information.
Only the names of the variables are stored.
Right.
Only the names. Data of that variable is not being stored. Okay, so we are having only these names. So here what we are having is only these names. This is the name that we have. This is the name that we have. This is the name that we have. Okay, this object has been allocated memory. Yeah? For class data, memory has been allocated. But for rest of them, there are only names which have been stored. So this string class has lot of this information, correct? Information about this details are stored in some other object. And that's an object of type class. That's an object of type class. That may be stored at some other location. And its name, which is that class object, which has information about the string class, that's also stored over here. And this object will tell us who is the class loader. So there are various kind of objects whose names will get stored. Who is my class loader? That is stored over here. Who is the class object, which will tell me about this class. So for every class that gets loaded, there is a class object that is created. This is created at a different area. I'll tell you which area it will get created. It's stored at a different area, but its reference will be here. Its name will be here. So for every class that gets loaded, there is one class object that gets created. This class object has all information about the class, about the loader, about the fields. From this object, I can get all this information. So in the method area, I'll have all these details. I'll have the name of the class, its parent class, its other interface type that it is implemented, the constant pool, the constant that are there, memory will be allocated for the constant data as well. Class data ke liye memory allocated hoga, but name, function, variable names, method names, class loader names, class loader object names, all those names are stored over here. Using this name, I can reach over here. What I'm saying? Using this name, I can reach over here. And if I reach this class object that has complete information about the string class, it will also tell me where is the loader object stored. Everything I can get. So all that information has now been stored inside the method area. Now, if there are any questions, please ask. Any confusion है तो भी बताइए. तो क्या क्या है? Constant pool type for the type. Constant pool type में क्या रहेगा? All those values, constant values that have been created, like Neha. Neha constant है. Neha can never change. So that Neha will get stored in memory. That's a constant pool for that particular type. String type का एक pool है. उस pool में सारे strings store किए जाएंगे. Neha, Sunil, Anay, whatever names you write, all those names will follow there. Field information. Name was the field. Age could have been the field. Method, main was the method. There could have been some method, get name, get age, whatever, method information. The class data, static variables, that information will get stored, except if the static variable is a constant variable. Who is the class loader which has loaded that class? That information will also get loaded. और इस class की जानकारी का metadata. Metadata means it's an object which will store information about your class. वो कौन है, वो कहाँ है, उसका नाम भी store किया जाएगा. So these are all the information that gets stored in the method area. Amongst all these points, अगर कोई भी point में confusion है तो मुझे बताइए, because this is something that will require while we write programs. Programming में हमें लगेगा, especially जब हम लोग reflective code लेंगे, will require this information. Now, if anybody has a question, please ask.
Sir, except for constant data, no?
Pardon?
Constant pool में except for constant data, right?
Constant fields अलग है और constant values अलग है. Look at this. Constant fields अलग है और constant values अलग है. Variables can be constant, correct? And
Yes,
it's
sir.
initialized with a constant value. वो जो
Yes, sir.
constant value है that gets stored in the pool.
Yeah,
Okay, so constant variables are different and constant variables are different.
value. Yes, sir.
हाँ,
So constant variable का डाटा constant pool में नहीं रहेगा.
constant variable constant pool में नहीं रहेगा, data रहेगा.
Okay.
All the data is constant ना, equal to some value ना, 10, 20, whatever you
सर
may use.
अगर public string name is equal to नेहा है
हाँ,
तो वो नेहा तो constant डाटा है तो वो constant pool में रहेगा, right?
correct.
और
और
अगर
नेहा
public
constant pool में नहीं रहेगा. नेहा
नेहा-
नहीं, नेम constant pool में नहीं रहेगा.
यस सर, और पब्लिक कांस्टेंट स्ट्रिंग रहेगा सपोज कोई वेरिएबल,
हाँ,
तो वो वेरिएबल का वेरिएबल डाटा रहेगा कांस्टेंट पूल में.
वेरिएबल का डेटा देन नेहा रहेगा कांस्टेंट पूल में, बट नेम उस फील्ड में नहीं रहेगा, मेथड एरिया में नहीं रहेगा.
यस सर.
If it is constant, name will not be stored in that area.
सर
Name.
मतलब
Let's not use the word name. Let's say student name. Huh? So
Yes, sir.
avoid confusion. The student name will not be present inside that method area if it is constant.
यस सर.
Okay, and if it is not constant, it will be present in the method area. But equal to Neha, Neha will always be present in that constant pool.
यस सर.
String ka constant pool. Any
Yes,
other
sir.
question?
Sir, I have a question.
Yes.
I mean, we define variable, we have variable names so that we can remember the data that we are referring to. So once the computer can store the data, what is the use of storing the variable names? Because anyway, the variable names are only for our reference.
Which variable in the last example? Which was the variable that you are talking about?
Let us take the example of the constant variable that we are talking about.
Okay, static variable.
Static variable.
हाँ,
अगर हम लोग ऑलरेडी उसका डेटा स्टोर कर रहे हैं कोई पूल में,
correct.
तो फिर why do we need to store that variable name also in some other place?
Okay, will that Neha be the only name that will get stored in the constant pool?
No,
There can be more than one names.
right?
Then tomorrow I want a particular name. How do I get it?
Okay, but so you
So-
will have to link the variable name with
Yes.
the data in the pool.
So Java is different. In Java, variables do not store value.
Okay,
So that Neha was not stored in name. Look, your question itself is giving me, you should get an answer. That where I said string student name is equal to Neha, that student name was only storing address from the constant pool where name was stored, Neha was stored. So now you have to visualize it differently. In other languages, what we do, look at this. बाकी languages हम लोग visualize कैसे करते हैं? Variable create क्या? Memory is allocated for the variable, correct? Diagram दिखाई दे रहा है?
yeah,
And the second thing that we say, variable is assigned a value, so then value gets stored inside the variable. तो ये नेहा ऐसे store हो गया.
yeah,
That is not done in Java. Because नेहा तो constant pool में है.
right.
तो इस वेरिएबल के अंदर कांस्टेंट पूल का एड्रेस जहां नेहा स्टोर्ड है वही आ जाएगा.
Okay.
एडवांटेज क्या दिखाई दे रहा है इसका? Anybody can quickly tell me what's the advantage of this mechanism? Come on, somebody tell me. This is effective memory management. Now, most of you come from C, C++ background. Huh? Yeah, some other programming languages that you may have implemented. Watch it.
सर सेम डाटा, सर
हाँ?
सेम डाटा के लिए वो उधर ही रेफर करेगा.
Very correct. So duplication memory नहीं रहेगा.
यस सर.
तो नॉर्मली अपने बाकी लैंग्वेजेस में कैसा होता है? If I say string s1 is equal to hello, string s2 is equal to hello, तो क्या होगा?
सर उधर ही
नो, बाकी लैंग्वेज में दो स्ट्रिंग्स क्रिएट होते हैं.
इधर एक ही जगह पे है.
या एक ही रहेगा, दोनों एक ही जगह पे रेफर करेंगे.
यस.
But sir, the same thing is also implemented in Python. So does it work in the same way? I
अरे
mean,
Python is
also
JVM
have
based language.
variables?
Python is based on JVM only.
Okay.
It's a virtual machine में काम कर रहा है उसमें.
Okay.
So, but we say that objects that get created are allocated different memories.
We say that अंदर थोड़ी ना ऐसा कुछ है. ऑब्जेक्ट allocate different memory, बट हम ऑब्जेक्ट के अंदर की डेटा की बात कर रहे हैं.
हाँ सर, तो जैसे अगर मैंने दो हेलो किया सर, तो दो अलग अलग ऑब्जेक्ट बना, अलग अलग मेमोरी होना चाहिए.
नहीं होता यहाँ जावा में.
सर वो डायनेमिकली क्रिएट करेंगे तो होगा ना अलग अलग.
Pardon?
Dynamically करेंगे
create
तो.
करेगा तो होगा.
Sir, is it like alias?
Yes, almost like it. बट अगर आगे जाके चेंज करते हो तो दोनों के लिए अलग मेमोरी रहेगा. this will ensure that if the data is same, it will never allocate space for the data twice in the memory. कोई भी डेटा दो बार नहीं स्टोर करेगा. यूनिक डेटा रहेगा तो उसके लिए मेमोरी एलोकेट किया जाएगा. और आपके किसी आसिफ आपके किसी भी ऑपरेशन में इसकी दिक्कत नहीं आने वाली है. आप सोचो कौन से ऑपरेशन में आपको दिक्कत आएगी. Yes, Nupati, you have a doubt? Yes.
So, like, does it mean like this particular constant pool is referred during the initialization process, like for
Created
determining the
during-
value of the particular variable?
Created a constant pool is created right at the time when the class will get loaded. The code in that class will
but
get
like,
loaded.
but like when we assign a value to a particular variable, so like there is a default value that gets assigned during a preparation phase.
Preparation
right?
state.
So
Yes.
when we derive the value of that value,
When we
so that happens during the initialization phase, right?
Steps are there. And this is different. Two types of variables are different. If it was name, the default value will be null. So it's saying I'm not referring to anybody initially. And then in the
Right.
last stage, it will actually store the address where the Neha is being stored. So before we use that name in our program, the Neha's address will be stored inside that particular variable.
So it's like an index will be created on that.
You can say index, a way of referencing.
Okay.
Way of referencing. It will
And it's
reach.
like, does it like have to be for a constant value? Is it like there is a segregation of based on the string values or numeric
Yes.
constants and everything?
For every
the
type, there is a
segregation
different
of
pool.
that,
Yes, yes.
or it's like
No, not one pool. For every type, there is a different pool.
okay.
Segregation. है.
Sir, so if I create two variables of type string like string A and B, and hello world is stored in both of them. So if I write some program to type the address where it's stored,
You cannot
will
get
it
the address in Java.
absolute address? I can't get some.
No, you cannot get in Java. Java gives you all the power of pointer without misuse. So then you will only get to see the data, but no pointer arithmetics. Lower level पे नहीं जा सकते. You cannot get the address.
Okay, sir.
So there is no way you can cross check.
But both are pointing to the same memory location.
Yes.
Okay, sir. Just like Python.
And I can show its reference, means address में physical address नहीं, but logically बता देता है where it is being stored. So if I print the reference, you will get to see the same reference. There is a method available. Yeah, some way you can get. It's actually called as hash code. हमने कहाँ देखा था? Python के कोर्स में अपना चल रहा था hash code. Remember कोई थे आप?
Yes, sir. Hash function.
Hash function. तो उसका hash code देगा, and you will realize the hash code is exactly the same for both the strings. यानी to put in simple word, address you will get to see something like address, unique identifier, और वो unique identifier दोनों के लिए एक ही रहेगा.
Okay, sir.
Sir,
Any
और
question anybody?
so constant pool में static type of variable का डाटा नहीं रहेगा ना,
नहीं रहेगा.
और बाकी सब टाइप का रहेगा उधर.
Yes.
Yes.
डेटा नहीं, स्टैटिक वेरिएबल्स नहीं रहेंगे.
So static variables का डाटा by default जो रहेगा वो, जैसे इधर name नेहा था,
हाँ.
तो suppose static string name नेहा है.
डेटा आ सकता है, डेटा आ सकता है. कांस्टेंट वेरिएबल रहेगा तो नहीं आएगा.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
वेरिएबल कांस्टेंट एंड वैल्यू कांस्टेंट, these are two different things.
Yes, sir.
नेहा इज अ कांस्टेंट वैल्यू.
Yes, sir.
वो वैल्यू आते रहेंगे वहाँ.
Yes, sir. Sir,
वेरिएबल
लेकिन
कैन आल्सो बी कांस्टेंट.
सर अगर कोई म्यूटेबल टाइप ऑफ डाटा रहेगा
हाँ,
तो इसका डिसएडवांटेज है.
इफिशिएंसी मार खाएगा ना, डुप्लीकेशन आएगा फिर.
हाँ सर, क्योंकि डुप्लीकेशन नहीं सर, जैसे अभी S1 इज इक्वल टू नेहा था, स्ट्रिंग S1,
हाँ,
पर वो स्ट्रिंग की जगह कोई और म्यूटेबल टाइप ऑफ डाटा होता और S2 इक्वल्स टू नेहा करते तो सेम रेफर करता तो.
एक मिनट. स्ट्रिंग्स बाय डिफॉल्ट इम्यूटेबल है. स्ट्रिंग के साथ
Yes,
ऐसा
sir.
होता ही नहीं है.
सर कोई दूसरा डाटा जो म्यूटेबल रहेगा सपोज,
हाँ,
और दो पॉइंटर उसको रेफर कर रहे हैं S1 और S2.
ओके, यहाँ
अगर-
नहीं आएंगे. आई विल शो यू व्हिच मेमोरी इट विल गो. उसके लिए डुप्लीकेट मेमोरी एलोकेट किया जाएगा,
यस.
और वो यहाँ नहीं आएगा, कांस्टेंट पूल में नहीं आएगा.
ओके.
So,
What you are saying is an operation that you are writing inside
If I have defined a constant pi with a value as 3.14.
Correct.
And during the course of program execution, अगर मैं उसका value change करके mathematics functions के through, I get an explicit value like 3.1.142
Whatever it is.
something like that.
Correct.
So does that mean like this value is garbage collected at that point of?
Now tell me, was that variable created inside a function or outside a function?
No, inside a function.
Then it will not be in the static memory. It has nothing of that variable
So
will
like
come inside the
मैंने ये
static.
मैंने एक class create किया जिसमें say I am doing some kind of a function. Now
Hold on.
so that particular value as a pi value has a value as 3.114 defined for it.
I understood. Listen.
Now during the execution of the program, where
I'll tell you.
उसका value it has the actual value of the pi from the match function.
छोड़ो ना, मैं बता रहा हूँ आपको. आपने अगर फंक्शन के अंदर वेरिएबल क्रिएट किया है तो उसका और मेथड एरिया का कोई लेना देना ही नहीं है.
Okay.
If the method name will come here, so you call some method operate. The method name will come here, and within the method, what variables you have, they will not be stored in this method area. The function name will come. हाँ, वो stack पे जाएगा. दूसरा memory area. Those variables will not come here. यहाँ the only variables that will come here are class variables.
Okay.
The things will not come here. Even आपके object के अंदर जो variables parameters हैं, उनका नाम रहेगा, data यहाँ नहीं रहेगा, data कहीं और रहने वाला है. Student के roll number था, address था और phone number था. Roll number, name and address, these are names. Names will come here, but आपका नाम निरुपति है, आपका address मुंबई है, आपका phone number 12345 है. That numbers are not stored in this particular area. They are stored somewhere else.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So
yeah, I got it.
आसिफ ने अभी एक आंसर दिया था. Where is it stored, Asif? You said. Where will this phone number, name, and role address get stored?
Phone number, name, I think in control that area, I think, sir. Maybe.
कौन सा?
Or in stack.
Okay. तो ये C++ में stack में चला जाता. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. In Java, the story is again different. How is it different? Let me show you.
Sir, I have a question.
Yes, please.
So if we have like those efficient memory management systems, in that case, if we have like a million variables, and then I create
variables means while you're doing some processing inside a function, you have million variables.
Yeah, like inside one class.
But outside the functions.
Yeah, outside the function.
That means they are class data.
Yeah.
फिर वो उसको class data मतलब उसमें static लिखा है या नहीं लिखा है? वो ऑब्जेक्ट के अंदर स्टोर करना है या ऑब्जेक्ट के बाहर स्टोर करना है आपको?
वो एक ऑब्जेक्ट के अंदर मेरे को यूज करना है.
एक ऑब्जेक्ट के अंदर चाहिए वो डेटा. That's not in the method area फिर.
Then how exactly can we define things that will, like if I want 1,000 variables in the method area and I am defining one more variable.
No. Why do you want 1,000 variables in the method area? आपकी requirement बताइए and then I'll tell you the solution.
All right. Actually, I just wanted to ask how does it decide? I mean, it has to go through all the variables in the method area and then it will have to assign a new variable.
Oh, I'll get it. I'll explain you. So there are two types. So, and if the two types have same names of variables, are you saying conflict of the variable names in these two types?
Not exactly variable names, but if for memory management, we have to go through the data to check whether the data is similar, right? To save on memory.
That was with strings.
Yeah, in strings or in any kind of data
No,
type?
no, not in all other types, only in strings.
Okay.
That was only with strings, not with integers and not with floats. For that, duplicate value memory will be allocated.
So double memory for same values.
Class types are stored differently and primitive types are stored differently. There are two types of variables in Java. One, which you store traditionally the way we have been talking about in all languages. You create a variable, we store a value inside it. They are one type of variable called as primitive variables. And other are reference types of variables. They do not store data, they store the address. So there are two types of variables will come in Java.
Okay.
So it's not the same story for all type of variables.
So sir, if I write million times int variable, it will require a million times that space, sir.
Yes.
And for string, it will refer to only one.
Yes.
Okay, sir.
That's how simple and straightforward. Provided, but I'm not saying the memory is allocated in method area.
Okay.
I have not said that. Memory will be get duplicated, but I have not said in the method area, because that variable that you have defined, you may have said private int roll number or private int I, private int j. That's how you have defined.
Yes, sir.
So in that case, it is present inside the object, not in the method area. Objects are not stored in the method area. So any data that is packed inside the object will not come in the method area.
Separate memory will be for objects. Okay.
There is a
And
separate
outside
memory
the
area.
object, it will happen something like this.
Listen now, complex thing देखो. The value of that variable will not come in the method area. Memory is not allocated in the method area, but name of the variable will come in the method area.
Yes, yes.
I,
Of
J,
that object, sir.
the fields inside the object.
Okay, okay. That will be in method area.
And you have 1,000 objects. So 1,000 times names will not come. Names will come only once.
Okay.
Let me take an example. Student has int roll number, float percentage marks. Correct?
Yes,
So in the method area, roll number will come, percentage marks name will come. Okay, only name, percentage marks.
yes.
Roll number, only name has come. And I created 10 objects of that type. So आपके मार्क्स अलग है, अमन के मार्क्स अलग है, दीपक के मार्क्स अलग है, सबके मार्क्स अलग है. उनके लिए मेथड एरिया में स्पेस एलोकेट नहीं किया जाएगा, उनके लिए कहीं और मेमोरी एलोकेट किया जाएगा. मेथड एरिया में इतना ही पता रहेगा कि इस ऑब्जेक्ट के अंदर दो फील्ड्स है, एक का नाम है रोल नंबर और दूसरे का नाम है नेम, परसेंटेज मार्क्स.
और जो स्पेसिफिक डेटा है वो ऑब्जेक्ट के अंदर रहेगा.
वो ऑब्जेक्ट के अंदर रहेगा, ऑब्जेक्ट मेथड के अंदर नहीं, मेथड एरिया में नहीं रहेगा.
ओके सर.
मींस जरा समझने की कोशिश कीजिएगा, मेथड एरिया में सिर्फ इंफॉर्मेशन है, डेटा नहीं है. The only data that gets stored in the method area is for the constant pool type for that type. और कोई डेटा मेथड एरिया में नहीं आता है.
तो कांस्टेंट पूल में सिर्फ स्ट्रिंग टाइप का डेटा रहेगा फिर.
हाँ, स्ट्रिंग टाइप का और some constants that you have defined which you have initialized in that particular for that type, वो constant values of that type, उस टाइप के constants वहां जाएंगे.
सर जैसे अभी आपने
जैसे नेहा था constant of type string.
यस सर.
वैसे आपने और भी कोई आपके पास एक क्लास है x.
यस सर.
x टाइप का कांस्टेंट कोई डेटा है आपका, वो यहाँ आ सकता है, और जो स्टैटिक है वो यहाँ आ सकता है.
इंटीजर टाइप ऑफ डेटा आ सकता है, मतलब इंटीजर नंबर इक्वल टू 1 वो आ सकता है इधर 1.
नहीं आएगा.
सर फिर आपने ऐसे बोला कि एक क्लास आपने से इंटीजर रोल नंबर एंड ऑल था.
हाँ.
तो अगर स्ट्रिंग रहेगा तो स्ट्रिंग का डाटा आ रहा है इधर, कांस्टेंट डाटा.
यस. और वो वही
इंटीजर्स का नहीं आ रहा है.
नहीं आ रहा है.
ओके सर.
दोनों में डिफरेंस है.
क्लास में
इंटीजर वेरिएबल के अंदर वैल्यू स्टोर हो रहा है और स्ट्रिंग के अंदर वैल्यू स्टोर नहीं हो रहा है.
ओके सर.
यस.
सर तो क्लास में फिर बचा मतलब सिर्फ वेरिएबल नेम्स एंड मेथड नेम्स.
वेरिएबल नेम्स, मेथड नेम्स, फोर फादर्स नेम्स.
हाँ राइट.
करेक्ट. एंड द कांस्टेंट पूल ऑफ दैट टाइप.
And constant pool has very little things like the string,
यस.
constant string data and
उस टाइप का कांस्टेंट वैल्यू रहेगा तो, जैसे नेहा कौन से टाइप का डेटा है,
string.
और वो अगर वो कांस्टेंट है, नेहा कभी चेंज नहीं होगा, वो कांस्टेंट पूल में चला जाएगा.
और दूसरा 2-3 एग्जांपल दे सकते हो सर जो ऐसा कांस्टेंट रहेगा और चेंज नहीं होगा.
किसी भी यूजर डिफाइंड क्लास का आप कांस्टेंट बना सकते हो. किसी भी यूजर डिफाइंड टाइप का आप कांस्टेंट वेरिएबल क्रिएट कर सकते हो जो चेंज नहीं होगा. अगर ऐसा कोई कांस्टेंट वेरिएबल आपने बनाया, डेटा है जो चेंज नहीं होने वाला है, इम्यूटेबल टाइप्स कहते हैं हम उसे, वो डेटा यहां आ सकता है.
ओके.
जो चेंज नहीं होने वाला है वो डेटा आ सकता है सिर्फ कांस्टेंट पूल में. एग्जांपल बताता हूं. अगर आपने कांस्टेंट ही डिफाइन किया क्लास के अंदर, सेइंग यूजिंग वन कीवर्ड कॉल्ड एज फाइनल, जैसे कॉन्स्ट लिखते सी में, वैसा कांस्टेंट करके आपने वेरिएबल डिफाइन किया, स्टैटिक कांस्टेंट इंट आई इक्वल टू 10, फिर आ जाएगा वो.
Okay, but that is because it is a constant.
ओनली व्हेन यू से कांस्टेंट. कांस्टेंट नहीं कहोगे तो नहीं आएगा.
Okay.
नॉर्मली इंट आई इक्वल टू कहोगे तो नहीं आएगा.
Okay.
सर लेकिन आपने बोला था कि एक्सेप्ट फॉर कांस्टेंट टाइप ऑफ वेरिएबल्स आएंगे स्ट्रिंग पूल में.
हाँ,
तो फिर
कांस्टेंट
अभी
लिखा ना मैंने.
सर अभी आपने बोला कांस्टेंट रहेगा तो आएगा वेरिएबल. कांस्टेंट इंट i इज इक्वल टू 10 रहेगा तो स्ट्रिंग पूल
स्टैटिक
में आएगा.
कांस्टेंट इंट आई.
सर लेकिन फिर स्टैटिक वेरिएबल्स उसमें नहीं आएंगे, आप बोल रहे थे स्टोर.
स्टैटिक वेरिएबल मेथड एरिया में आएंगे ना पक्का.
तो लेकिन उनका डाटा स्ट्रिंग पूल में नहीं आएगा ना.
स्ट्रिंग पूल में नहीं, उसका कांस्टेंट पूल अलग.
और फिर स्टैटिक कांस्टेंट रहेगा तो स्ट्रिंग पूल में आएगा.
स्टैट नहीं, स्ट्रिंग पूल में तो उस टाइप के सारे डेटा आएंगे, वो स्टैटिक कांस्टेंट करो, नॉन स्टैटिक रखो, प्रोग्राम में कहीं भी डिफाइन किया वो स्ट्रिंग पूल में चला जाएगा, उस टाइप का डेटा।
सर फिर कांस्टेंट टाइप ऑफ वेरिएबल का डाटा स्ट्रिंग पूल में जा रहा है ना?
कांस्टेंट
टाइप ऑफ वेरिएबल जैसे कांस्टेंट इंट,
हाँ,
कांस्टेंट इंटीजर टाइप, तो उसका वेरिएबल, उसका डाटा कांस्टेंट पूल में जाएगा।
स्टैटिक कांस्टेंट इंट क्लास डेटा
और
रहेगा तो
कांस्टेंट का नहीं,
नहीं,
सिर्फ
नॉर्मल नहीं,
कांस्टेंट।
नॉर्मल कांस्टेंट नहीं, क्लास टाइप का डेटा रहना चाहिए।
ओके
सर एक बार समरी दे सकते हैं क्या सर आप?
Okay.
पूल वाले का बहुत कंफ्यूजिंग हो गया सर।
ओके, ज्यादा टेंशन नहीं लेंगे, एक एक बताता हूँ। मेथड एरिया में पहला आएगा बाइट डेटा अबाउट योर क्लास। That means when you compile the class, when the class has been compiled, there are bytecodes. Bytecodes represents the type. So it will extract information of the type and stored in the method area. Now, when I'm saying it's extracting information of the type and storing the method area, what is the type telling you? What is the name of the type? What are the super types? What are the other super interfaces? उसके fathers और great fathers कौन हैं? उनका order क्या है? All that information stored in the method area. Plus, this type has fields, members. This type has members. It can be field, it can be methods, functions. We call them as method. उनके नाम आ जाएंगे, उनके नाम आ जाएंगे. So what are the names, fields which are there? All that information has been stored inside this particular method area. Plus, इनमें कोई डेटा मेंबर्स, क्लास के अंदर के मेंबर्स स्टैटिक रहेंगे, तो स्टैटिक मेंबर जो रहेगा उसके लिए मेमोरी भी एलोकेट किया जाएगा ऑन द मेथड एरिया। मेमोरी भी एलोकेट किया जाएगा, उसके अंदर डेटा स्टोर करना है, जो मेमोरी जो चाहिए दैट विल आल्सो गेट एलोकेटेड। इफ इट्स अ प्रिमिटिव टाइप, इंटीजर, फ्लोट, डबल, तो वो वेरिएबल के लिए मेमोरी भी एलोकेट किया जाएगा और वो डेटा भी उसी के अंदर स्टोर किया जाएगा। समझो, मैंने एक लिखा था स्टैटिक इंट आई, तो आई के लिए मेमोरी भी एलोकेट होगी मेथड एरिया में, और उस आई की वैल्यू 4 उसके अंदर ही स्टोर हो जाएगी, वही स्टैटिक मेथड एरिया के अंदर। पर स्पेशल केस था स्ट्रिंग का। स्ट्रिंग के यहाँ डुप्लीकेशन मेमोरी नहीं रहेगा, उसके जो वैल्यूज है वो कांस्टेंट पूल में चले जाएंगे, अलग कांस्टेंट पूल। बट अगर आपका वेरिएबल कांस्टेंट नहीं था, नॉर्मल वेरिएबल था, स्टैटिक भी नहीं था, तो उसका नाम तो आपके मेथड एरिया में आएगा, डेटा कहीं और रहने वाला है। बिकॉज whenever you create variable, that time memory is allocated. बट उस मेमोरी एलोकेट करने के लिए उसके अंदर कितने कितने फील्ड्स है, यानी जानकारी, द इंफॉर्मेशन ऑफ द डेटा टाइप इज स्टोर्ड इन द मेथड एरिया। दिस टाइप वाज लोडेड बाय सम क्लास लोडर, तो उस क्लास लोडर का नाम वहां आएगा। Information of this type is also stored outside the method area in an object of a class called as class. उस ऑब्जेक्ट का नाम भी यहाँ आ जाएगा। So there's a class ऑब्जेक्ट जिसका नाम रहेगा, there's a class loader ऑब्जेक्ट उसका नाम रहेगा। क्लास लोडर यहाँ नहीं रहेगा, उसका नाम रहेगा। कौन है वो क्लास लोडर? Who has loaded this class? उसका नाम रहेगा। मेरे क्लास की डिटेल इंफॉर्मेशन कहाँ है, कौन से ऑब्जेक्ट के अंदर है, उस ऑब्जेक्ट का नाम रहेगा। मेरे ऑब्जेक्ट के अंदर, मेरे क्लास के अंदर क्या क्या फील्ड्स है उनके नाम रहेंगे। मेरे क्लास का नाम क्या है उसका नाम रहेगा। मेरे क्लास के 4 फादर्स कौन है उनका नाम रहेगा। Only information is stored. The only data that gets stored over here in the method area is the class data. Otherwise, no data is stored. Only information is stored. Only the names have been stored. Now ask if you have any question. अब पूछिए।
कांस्टेंट पूल वाला सर,
हाँ,
उसमें सिर्फ स्ट्रिंग आएगा, बाकी और कुछ नहीं आएगा सर?
बाकी और कुछ नहीं आएगा।
तो स्ट्रिंग और कांस्टेंट स्टैटिक वैल्यू ना, कांस्टेंट स्टैटिक टाइप ऑफ वेरिएबल की वैल्यू।
कांस्टेंट स्टैटिक वेरिएबल के लिए मेमोरी एलोकेट होगी और उस मेमोरी के अंदर वैल्यू स्टोर हो जाएगी।
वो कांस्टेंट पूल में नहीं रहेगा सर?
नहीं, वो सेपरेटली मेमोरी एलोकेट होगी। मेथड एरिया में एक मेमोरी एलोकेट होगी उसके लिए, और उसके अंदर वो वैल्यू भी स्टोर हो जाएगी। और 2 बार करोगे तो 2 बार डुप्लीकेट होगी। दैट मींस 2 अलग वेरिएबल है, आई एंड जे, विद सेम वैल्यू, डुप्लीकेशन मेमोरी विल हैपन इन द मेथड एरिया।
यस सर।
ओके, सिर्फ स्ट्रिंग कांस्टेंट पूल में रहेगा सर, उसके अलावा
String
बाकी
constant
सारे
pool।
डेटा टाइप्स के लिए अलग-अलग मेमोरी एलोकेट होगी जितनी बार वो रिपीट हो रहा है।
यस, अगर वो स्टैटिक भी है तो। अगर वो
Static-
स्टैटिक, हाँ,
स्टैटिक कांस्टेंट स्ट्रिंग भी स्ट्रिंग पूल में ही रहेगा ना?
वेरिएबल या वैल्यू,
स्टैटिक कांस्टेंट स्ट्रिंग वैल्यू उसकी,
वैल्यू भी उसी में चली जाएगी कांस्टेंट पूल
और
में।
वेरिएबल
वेरिएबल मेथड एरिया में रहेगा, नाम रहेगा सिर्फ।
ओके।
सर मैंने इनिशियलाइज नहीं किया, तो
हाँ।
अब कांस्टेंट पूल में नल सेव होगा क्या?
कांस्टेंट पूल में नल रहेगा, नहीं वेरिएबल में नल रहेगा, कांस्टेंट पूल में कुछ नहीं रहेगा।
ओके सर।
तो वो बता रहा है कांस्टेंट पूल में देखिए मत।
ओके,
एनी अदर क्वेश्चन? Is this clear? ओके आई शेयर। हाँ,
स्ट्रिंग का मेमोरी एलोकेशन पुल में
सेपरेटली
ही
हैंडल
होता
किया
है।
जाएगा। स्ट्रिंग का मेमोरी एलोकेशन अलग होता है। आपका क्वेश्चन क्या है?
मेमोरी एलोकेशन ऑफ स्ट्रिंग
हाँ,
कैसे होता है?
कैसे होता है?
हाँ,
स्टेटमेंट लिखो। आपने कहा प्रोग्राम के अंदर कहीं भी अगर आपने लिखा, कहीं भी प्रोग्राम के अंदर लिखा आपने, वो एट द एंड डबल कोट्स में कुछ भी लिखोगे तो वो स्ट्रिंग ही है।
यस सर।
कहीं भी प्रोग्राम में डबल कोट्स में कुछ भी लिखोगे तो स्ट्रिंग ही है। लिसन एवरीबॉडी, कहीं भी प्रोग्राम में डबल कोट्स में कुछ भी लिखोगे वो स्ट्रिंग है। वो सारे स्ट्रिंग के कांस्टेंट पूल में आके बैठेंगे, बिकॉज वो डबल कोट्स में लिखा हुआ स्ट्रिंग टाइप ऑफ डेटा है और वो कांस्टेंट है, वो स्ट्रिंग पूल में आके बैठेगा। प्रोग्राम में कहीं भी डिफाइन करो।
ओके।
हाँ, स्ट्रिंग ऑब्जेक्ट स्ट्रिंग पूल में नहीं आएगा। वो डबल कोट्स में लिखे हुए, डबल कोट्स माने कांस्टेंट है ना, एनीथिंग यू राइट इन डबल कोट्स,
यस।
वो डेटा कांस्टेंट स्ट्रिंग पूल। यानी हर एक टाइप के लिए अपना एक पूल है। जैसे स्ट्रिंग टाइप के लिए कांस्टेंट पूल है, प्रोग्राम में कहीं भी आप कुछ डबल कोट्स में डालो वो कांस्टेंट पूल में आ जाएगा।
और स्ट्रिंग ऑब्जेक्ट मेथड में, मेथड एरिया में आएगी क्या?
नहीं आएगा, स्ट्रिंग ऑब्जेक्ट मेथड एरिया में नहीं आएगा,
उसके लिए अलग
अनलेस इट
से
इज
रहेगा।
स्टैटिक। अनलेस इट इज स्टैटिक।
नेम तो आएगा ना सर?
नेम रहेगा ना, नेम रहेगा सिर्फ, बट मेमोरी नहीं है ना उसके लिए एलोकेटेड। मींस स्पेस नहीं है ना डेटा स्टोर करने के लिए, नल स्टोर करने के लिए भी नहीं। पिक्चर देखो क्या कहना है, मैं कह रहा हूँ।
ये मेथड एरिया में सिर्फ स्टैटिक और कॉन्स्ट टाइप के वेरिएबल्स एंड डेटा स्टोर हो गया अगर हो गए तो, एंड दूसरे सबके सिर्फ वेरिएबल्स एंड फील्ड्स, सिर्फ नेम्स।
हाँ, दैट्स द डिफरेंस। बाकी टाइप्स के लिए सिर्फ नाम आ रहा है और वो स्टैटिक रहेगा, तो उसके लिए मेमोरी भी आ रहा है और उसका डेटा भी आ रहा है।
राइट राइट, ओके।
तो सिर्फ कांस्टेंट नहीं ना, स्टैटिक कांस्टेंट के ना उधर।
स्टैटिक कांस्टेंट के लिए सिर्फ
और
कांस्टेंट नहीं, स्टैटिक कांस्टेंट।
कांस्टेंट के लिए सिर्फ नेम आएगा इधर, नेम ऑफ द वेरिएबल का डाटा।
फील्ड रहेगा तो हाँ, नेम आएगा, सिर्फ डेटा नहीं आएगा।
डेटा नेम, यस
डेटा कहीं और जाएगा, नेम आएगा।
यस सर।
और स्टैटिक वेरिएबल्स के लिए मेमोरी भी एलोकेटेड स्टैटिक मेथड एरिया में और उसका डेटा भी मेथड एरिया में आएगा।
यस सर।
That's the simplest way to define. For static variables, the variable will also get stored in the method area, name, and उसकी मेमोरी भी allocated, उसके अंदर डेटा भी वो मेथड एरिया में आएगा। मेथड एरिया में पूल में जाएगा या कहीं और रहेगा, बट मेथड एरिया के अंदर ही रहेगा डेटा।
यस सर, यस सर।
Is that clear everybody?
So, what is the actual purpose of doing this? Like only storing the strings data and not for everything? Is this only for efficient memory management?
Tell me now. Tell me, have you written code in any language?
Yeah,
Which language?
Python.
Okay. How often in Python did you go ahead creating double variable? Every program?
Yeah.
Every program you created a double variable? Every program that you have ever seen in Python?
No, not really.
Tell me one program in Python where you did not create string.
Yes, sir.
Is there one program in Python? Any language? C में काम किया रहेगा, C++ में एक प्रोग्राम बताइए जहां आपने डबल कोट्स में कुछ लिख के स्ट्रिंग नहीं बनाई, किसी भी लैंग्वेज में।
हाँ सर, किया है सब में ऑलमोस्ट।
ऑलमोस्ट एक प्रोग्राम बताइए सर मैंने इसमें स्ट्रिंग लिखा ही नहीं था, एक बताइए।
Yes sir.
हाँ?
Yes sir, every program. Yeah.
सर स्ट्रिंग का स्टोर करते हैं तो इंटीजर और बाकी सबको क्यों नहीं कर सकते सर?
क्योंकि इंटीजर के लिए सेपरेट करने में फायदा ही नहीं है ना, बिकॉज स्ट्रिंग ऐसा डेटा है जो बार बार रिपीट हो रहा है।
मोस्ट वाइडली यूज्ड है।
मोस्ट वाइडली रिपीट हो रहा है, बार बार आने वाला है। और आपका इंटीजर्स का वैल्यू क्या बार बार वही वैल्यू आने वाला है क्या आपके पास? एंड स्ट्रिंग्स विल ऑक्यूपाई लार्ज अमाउंट ऑफ मेमोरी। अगर डुप्लीकेट होता है तो डुप्लीकेट मेमोरी एलोकेट करने में कोई पॉइंट नहीं है। तो कांस्टेंट स्टोर हो रहे, इंटीजर्स उनके लिए करने की जरूरत नहीं है हमें।
बट सर सेम स्ट्रिंग्स रिपीट हो उससे ज्यादा चांसेस है कि जो कैरेक्टर्स है वो रिपीट हो।
No, हाँ वो तो है, but it will not worry about characters because a character has no meaning because string put in double quotes has a meaning. तो जावा में एक कैरेक्टर को भी आपने डबल कोट्स में डाला तो भी चला जाएगा वो यहाँ।
But if it could some way store the,
We could some way store the character and एक string था ABCD और दूसरा था DCBA, तो उसको रेफरेंस रीअरेंज करने में कितना टाइम जाएगा वो ऑर्डर में देखने के लिए? उससे अच्छा वो दो बार स्टोर किया जाए ताकि मैं क्विकली उसे पिक कर सकूं। रिट्रीविंग इज आल्सो इंपॉर्टेंट ना, जल्दी से जल्दी रिट्रीव कर सके।
yes.
अदरवाइज मुझे चारों का रेफरेंस रखना होगा, ए का रेफरेंस, बी का रेफरेंस, सी का रेफरेंस, डी का रेफरेंस। इट विल बी नाइटमेयर। कितने कॉम्बिनेशन आएंगे?
बहुत ज़्यादा.
It will nightmare. Is that clear to some extent at least? Method area?
Yes, sir.
डाउट है तो पूछो कुछ. थोड़ा बहुत कंफ्यूजन रहेगा, आगे जाके क्लियर हो जाएगा. मैं और भी कुछ आपके साथ शेयर कर सकूं, उसके इंटरनल स्टाइल शेयर विथ यू टू हेल्प यू अंडरस्टैंड दिस. बट एटलीस्ट दिस मस्ट वी शुड नो अबाउट व्हाट दिस थिंग्स आर ऑल अबाउट. मेथड एरिया थोड़ा बहुत आइडिया चाहिए. Deepak's question is, are methods and functions same? No. Okay. Method is something which is globally available. Function is something which is globally available, and method is something which is present inside a class. And Java, we do not have functions, we only have methods. So there is no question of function in Java, only method. I use the function because वो memory area का भी नाम method है और function को भी method कहते हैं. वो method confuse ना हो इसलिए मैंने function कहा. Java में function नाम की कोई चीज होती नहीं है. Every function belongs to a class, so it's a method. But methods are functions within the scope of a class. Methods are functions within the scope of the class. So they are not freestanding, globally available कोई function नहीं, जैसे printf, scanf directly था, ऐसा कोई नहीं है Java में.
So why there are not global variables?
Global variable वैसे भी हमने पूरे C के कोर्स में कभी जिंदगी में एक बार भी यूज किया क्या?
नहीं, पर थोड़ा ईज हो जाता है सर यूज करने में. तो
Ease
ऊपर
नहीं
डिफाइन
है.
कर दो, कहीं भी यूज कर सकते
नहीं, टेम्पररी लगता है, ईज है. लार्ज एप्लीकेशन क्रिएट करोगे, 4 लोग उस पर काम कर रहे हैं, तो कोई भी कहीं भी चेंज कर देगा. तो कौन से आपके एप्लीकेशन में 10 क्लासेस है, 10 क्लासेस में 15 फंक्शन है. एवरी फंक्शन विल हैव एन एक्सेस टू दैट डेटा.
यस सर.
कैन यू कीप अ ट्रैक व्हिच फंक्शन मेड अ चेंज टू दैट डेटा?
नो सर.
It's biggest
But
problem.
sir, if I'm giving if I'm like making it public, then also they can access it now inside the class.
We are never supposed to make public. हमने क्या कहा था encapsulation में? उसमें क्या बात कर रहे हैं? Data should always be hidden.
Yes sir. Yes.
Bare minimum data should be made accessible. और वो भी direct accessible देना ही नहीं है. अगर access भी करना है तो via somebody. आपके अकाउंट का कैश क्या आप डायरेक्टली उठा के लाने वाले हो?
No sir.
याद है ना?
Yes,
तो कोई भी डेटा हम लोग पब्लिक नहीं करेंगे. As a thumb rule, the only data that we'll ever make public is final, जो constant है. because constant access करने से कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है, चेंज कर नहीं कर सकते. Is that okay?
Yes sir.
Okay. So we'll stop here today. Next time when we meet, we'll touch upon it. मैं भी सोचता हूँ कुछ और आपको अलग तरीके से कुछ समझा सकूं क्या, बट चारों में भी एरिया कवर करेंगे, फिर आप दोबारा क्वेश्चन पूछो चाहे तो. तो we will meet देखते हैं मंडे ट्यूसडे मॉर्निंग चलेगा?
यस सर.
तो ट्यूसडे मॉर्निंग हम लोग लेते हैं. मंडे को
DBMS है सर हमारा.
मंडे को है ना?
सर आपने डेली रखा है सर, मंडे से फ्राइडे तक.
फ्राइडे तक. हाँ.
देखते हैं, अल्टरनेटिव करते हैं. अपना ये 2 सेशन कवर कर लेंगे ना, एक इसके लिए एक हाथ 2 सेशन चाहिए, कवर करेंगे. तो मंडे को डीबीएमएस लेते हैं और ट्यूसडे को ये लेते हैं, जेवीएम ले लेते हैं.
सर आपने रिमाइंडर देने बोला था शाम के लेक्चर के लिए.
कौन सा?
प्री प्लेसमेंट है ना?
कब?
प्री प्लेसमेंट ट्रेनिंग ट्यूसडे को सर 7 to 9.
कब? कौन सा डे?
ट्यूसडे सर शाम को 7 to 9. आज सुबह भी आपको बोला.
ट्यूसडे 7 to 9 ना?
शाम को. यस सर.
एक मिनट. ट्यूसडे को हम लोग अगर 7 to 9 ना आपका?
यस सर.
तो 5 to 6:30 मिले क्या?
हाँ सर हमको.
Can we make it at 5 to 6:30? Everybody can make it on Tuesday between 5 to 6:30. Just click on yes if you can make it. Tuesday अगर मैं टाइम चेंज करूँ तो 5 to 6:30.
I will check and confirm.